Hey everybody, Chuck Barone here. Wednesday, September the 28th, 2022. Another crazy day in a crazy ass world, guys. What is going on today? Oh my God. So anyway, before we start the show, as always, I just want to thank everybody for watching the videos, for their support for the show, everything you guys do to keep us going here every day, make the show and the channel a success. We love you guys. We appreciate it. Markets today, let's talk about this, guys. What a wacky day, man, okay? So it's been all doom and gloom. It's been all the world's coming to an end. And today, a foreign government gets in and intervenes in their bond market, and that makes the whole world just go crazy. So what do we have in the U.S. markets today? Stock market, massive rally. Giant rally today across the board, everything up. Now I think, what do you guys help me? Is this just a simple bear market rally? Or is this what they call in Wall Street the dead cat bounce, where this market's dead, but it's just going to get one last bounce up? I actually read an analyst today was comparing this to the 2000 crash, the dot-com crash, was saying that market rallied. When everybody had thought it hit a bottom, it rallied and then sunk another 15%. So just be careful in this market, guys. Buying these dips has not been a winning strategy. Tough time for the markets right now. And we're going to get into a little bit of analysis from some other people in the comments down below. The bond market today, guys, what the hell? A gigantic rally across, the bond market, I think what happens, it's simple, pretty simple, right? England intervenes in their bond market with a new QE. Immediately, investors believe that the Federal Reserve is going to follow suit. Bonds go on a massive tear. The 10-year drops to 3.70, down 25 basis points today. The 2-year drops to 4.13%, down 17 basis points today. Guys, this kind of action in the bond market, I got to tell you, seeing bond yields zoom going up 15, 20, 25, 30 basis points, this is not a well-functioning bond market, guys, okay? Be very cautious. Be very cautious. I really, in my mind, I just don't believe the Fed's going to change course on this now. I believe they're following the Volcker rule on this inflation. They're going to choke this economy out if they have to get inflation down. So be careful on these dips in the bond market. I don't see a QE coming from our Federal Reserve. Now, we'll see if I'm right or wrong, but I got to say, guys, if you've been watching the show, I have been right a lot more than I've been wrong. Anyway, the dollar today down big, actually down 112.73 on the index. I think the Bank of England move brought the pound up from the dead. And I'm going to talk about why England did what they did and what's going on over there and down in the comments. But the dollar down today, so that, of course, gave a little breathing room to metals. Had a rally today. So gold sitting at $16.61 per ounce. Silver bouncing back up over $19 per ounce, $19.01. Okay, silver. Hopefully now it's going to establish some new support numbers. I like silver above 19. It held that support for quite a while till the dollar just really went crazy. I think metals really want to rally. They just need a good reason to do it. And this dollar coming down from the friggin' stratosphere is a good reason. Oil today, another up big day. Oil today, $82.62 for a barrel of West Texas Intermediate, up 4.5% today. Natural gas rebounding today, $6.88 for their million British thermal units, up 3.5% today. Again, guys, this is not a normal market, man. These prices are not supposed to be gyrating around all over the place. It was just, last week, at the end of the week, where oil was tanking, right? Dropped down into the mid-70s, and now here we are a couple days later, right back up to $82 and change. There's so much uncertainty. It's really hard to get your bearings on anything right now, which is why we've been telling you guys all along, get defensive and buckle down, guys, because this market's just going to be crazy, crazy volatile. Bitcoin today, following the markets higher, up over 19,500. Good to see a up move for Bitcoin. I think that I'm going to be watching now to see if Bitcoin can have some up days when the stock market is down. Because it seems like what I've been seeing is Bitcoin's just been following the market, and as a result, it hasn't been very attractive to me because I really believe the market is on a down spiral. News today, interesting news. More crappy real estate news. Home prices fell. This was a shocking one to me. It said home prices fell in 77% of the urban areas in the United States this month. The real estate recession we've been talking about is starting to take hold, guys. That is a gigantic number. Prices are going to fall nationwide pretty dramatically. Rates now, mortgage rates sitting around 7%. I can't even tell you what that does to a mortgage payment. You know, the difference between where it was and 6 was astounding, raising payments like almost $1,000. Now you're going to add another point on. It just makes this housing market basically completely shut out, locked out, priced out, paymented out for the vast, I would say probably 50% or more of the working population. They got a median income, household income of the United States of $76,000. So that works out to a little more than $6,000 a month household income. You know, how are these people going to pay $3,500 mortgages? They're not. They're not. So more pain coming soon in real estate. I was reading an article today. They were saying that so far, this was before today's rally, but so far from the high to the low, the stock market has wiped out over $9 trillion in wealth. $9 trillion in wealth. And they're not even talking about the losses on margins and all the other stuff. They're just talking about, you know, the shares and how the prices have come down. $9 trillion. And at the same time, they want to tell us that consumer sentiment is up higher. Now, the truth of the matter is, you know, this $9 trillion is really affecting the uber wealthy because they're the ones who own most of the stocks. But anyone with a 401k or retirement plan or even a small investment account is feeling the effects of this $9 trillion. So what do you think it'll be before it's over, guys? I mean, we're going to lose $15 trillion on the stock market? And I wonder what the losses on the bond market are, because I assure you they are colossal. I was reading today another analyst suggesting that it'll take 3 million job losses, 3 million job losses before the Fed can then get inflation under control, because, you know, the super overheated jobs market is a big driver with the wage price spiral starting to get really entrenched. So they feel like they need to get this unemployment rate much higher, 3 million people losing their jobs. Another interesting thing I read today, both Goldman Sachs and BlackRock, two of the probably smarter companies on Wall Street, both coming out very, very, very bearishly on the stock market. Both of them basically with the same message. Get out now, guys. It's just a real scary time right now. I think that if these professionals who trade in these markets every day, these analysts who study these stocks, certain sectors every day, have no idea what's coming next, the average guy out there, us, the working people, the schmuckatellis, we got no shot, man, in this market, guys. We just don't. So please, please, please be very cautious with your investments. You know, get yourself into as defensive a position as you can. We've been talking about that a lot of times on this show. You know, get into utilities and healthcare stocks and food and soap and, high dividend stocks, preferred stocks, something that has a reason for existing, right? Other than these growth stocks with very short earnings, but a lot of potential. Be careful, guys. Now, the main thing I want to talk about today, as those of you who watched the video yesterday will recall, the name of the video was Federal Reserve versus Federal Government. And I was talking about how monetary policy, which is the province of the Federal Reserve, So that means, the amount of currency in circulation, interest rates, and all that stuff. That's the Fed. But on the other side of the coin, you have fiscal policy, which is government spending, government not spending, which is the domain of the government, Congress, the White House, okay? And I was commenting how they're not in sync, because at the same time as the Federal Reserve is tightening, clamping down on rates, smashing the real estate market, torturing middle-class buyers, the federal government is spending just the two things that we talked about yesterday, the Reduce Inflation Act, about $800 billion, and the Student Loan Forgiveness Plan, another $400 billion. And you got $1.2 trillion right there. That doesn't include all the money they sent to Ukraine. It doesn't include all the other spending they're doing off the books. It's just, so now you got yin and yang here, but they're not working together. They're tugging each other in a tug-of-war, right? And until we get this policy a little more better aligned, the Federal Reserve is going to have its work cut out for it, and we're going to suffer with higher rates than we need to because the federal government can't get its shit together and stop spending money they don't have. And then you add in our corporate overlords with their price gouging and raising prices even when they don't have a corresponding increase in their own costs, raising prices because they can, in other words. But anyway, so today's big news, of course, was the Bank of England coming out in basically announcing a QE. Their bond market was completely in the tank, guys. I mean, I was reading about this. It was really scary what they were saying. But basically, here's the story so you guys can get a little background on this. They kicked out Boris Johnson, who was the conservative prime minister, and they brought a new woman in, Truss, I can't remember her first name. And she had some ideas right away on what she wanted to do. The ideas are this is all standard conservative stuff, cut taxes, get rid of regulation, and of course another big cost would be the support for the public this winter with their heating and their power bills, because they know what's coming. I think actually October 1 is the date everything changes there in England. So when they announced all of this stuff, in the face of about 10% inflation there in the UK, the bond market just had a conniption fit and started this giant sell-off. Now the 30-year English bond, I think they're gilts, was sitting at 3.75. And investors were demanding more than 5% interest rate to buy those bonds. That's 125 basis points above what the bonds were yielding, creating a pretty big crisis there for Great Britain because, if they would have just let the bond market tank, it would have been like the most massive bond sell-off in the history of the UK. They really had no choice but to intervene. And now the interesting thing is going to be because, let's face it, guys, QE is not an inflation fighting tool, right? So that's going to add more pressure to their central bank on their rate increases coming up. They're really in a tough spot. I think the Central Bank of England and the government, or the people in power there, Prime Minister Truss, are going to have a sit-down and figure this out because the policies she wants are not unproven policies. Basically, what the game plan she's putting in place is the same one Reagan did in 1980 when he became the president, right? What the first thing Reagan did, what did he do? He cut taxes. He started deregulation. Now, granted, there wasn't this big energy crunch at that moment where Reagan had to subsidize people's power bills, but those were different times, and was really the introduction to the American people of deficit spending, right? And it worked. Not only did Volcker had to really crash the economy pretty hard with his rate increases, but they set the stage for a gigantic economic boom once the inflation was done. From about 82 through the recession around 1990, I think, the economy in the U.S. just boomed. And at the same time, Volcker stamped inflation out. Now, granted, very painful interest rates, smashed borrowing, increased the savings rate, did some good things for the economy. But that's not where our economy is now, right? So anyway, interesting, fascinating stuff. I can't wait to see. Now the markets all rallied today because they're guessing the rest of the central banks, the European Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, and all the rest of them are going to follow suit with England. The ECB has already actually announced a limited QE with weaker economies, Italy and some of the other ones, Portugal. But anyway, so it's going to be interesting to see what the Fed's next move is. Is the Fed going to fly in the face of their European friends and just keep raising rates and, smashing this inflation down? Are they going to get with our government and talk about how to get fiscal policy in alignment? There's just so much to come, guys. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. We're going to keep you guys informed of it every step along the way. As always, the stuff we've been advising is the stuff to do. Invest conservatively. Save 10% or more of your income if you can. But if you can't save that, save $1. Save anything. Just get yourself living within your means one way or the other. Invest your money conservatively. Get into defensive positions. Be a judicious spender. This is not the time to be worrying about acquiring stuff. It's the time to be hunkering down, guys, right? These are very basic things. This is nothing complex. I don't have a magic formula for you to invest to get through this. This is the basics of what has worked for people since the beginning of finance. And guess what? It's still going to work today. Anyway, guys, that's all we got for today. Tomorrow is going to be a fascinating day with the GDP report coming out. I can't wait to see where that goes. In the meantime, until we talk tomorrow, guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. It's going to be an interesting times we're living in. Thanks.